Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to the Super Cup Show live here for the 12th recap round of the Monza Grand Prix and Super Cup. Yep, we're doing this live again. It worked so well the last time, thought, why not do it this time? So, as you are fully well aware by now, I'm Joshua Anderson, and, let's take a little trip back to Italy and find out exactly what it was that happened when Super Cup met Monza. And of course, if you are watching live here on CVnews.tv, good evening to you. Great to have you alongside us, and do ask some questions along the way if you'd like, and we'll see if we can't pack a few in before the end of the show. So, where else to start but the qualifying session of the Italian Grand Prix? It was always going to be full of speed, was Monza. Always a fast track, and it would be none other than Stefan Ruolt who finished on pole position for Deltec Racing Team, and that would really set the Dutchman up well for the evening. Had a fantastic qualifying session, did Ruolt. Just edged out current championship leader going into the round, Alex Siebel, by 0.011 of a second. Really nothing in it between the two of them. And then a further 10th behind was the first of the two Meseric racing cars in Wupke Hoekstra. 0.1 seconds behind, and then the further 10th behind was Dino Paolini in the second Meseric. So very consistent stuff from Meseric again. Really having shown this season just how consistent they can be. Tobias Politek would start 5th for Evolution Racing, and then 6th place, Jason Muscat. A return to form of sorts of the Maltese. A 6th place was quite impressive. Sandeep Chowdhury would qualify 7th for Hinds Motorsports, and then in Boya Milan in 8th for TG Racing, and Antonio Helanovic would follow in the Drake in 9th place. Top 10 would be rounded out by Jeffrey Fournier for Epic Racing, which might seem like a bit of a disappointment for the Frenchman, though a top 10 still quite respectable result in qualifying at least. Then we come to 11th place, and Chris Shepherd. He drove for Hinds Motorsport before, now he was in for Kosmosaki Japan this race. 11th place qualifying set him up for some probably good points and some well needed points for the Japanese team. Johan Lundberg would start 12th in the second Deltec, so it may be that Stefan Ruolt's here, but unfortunately not his usual teammate this time. But in this instance, James Johnson wouldn't be here, and it would be Johan Lindberg instead, starting 12th. Tom van der Voort qualified 13th for Drake Racing, then Edouard Patala 14th for Racing Stream Shorten, and Rob Mason rounding out the top 15 and qualifying for Epic Racing. Again, really showing he's quite the capable driver in these open wheel as Rob Mason this season, really starting to show his stuff. Darwin Tapper would start 16th for Zederic, then it would be 17th place for Edgar Ruiz for TJ Racing, and Patrick Gerber 18th for ST. Gerard Batalla would start 19th for Racing Team Shorten, then Matt Strand 20th for Satellite Racing. Again, Satellite, another team that's really struggled this season to get drivers onto the grid, and Strand 20th again. Well, he would know he's capable of so much more, but it is a competitive field, and 1.4 seconds ultimately of Ruolt's pace. I think on any other track that would have been enough for 14th or 15th, but Monza lends itself to closer qualifying sessions. Ryan Nash would start 21st in the other Cosmo, then it would be 22nd place for Menno Clont in the Multiforce GP car, and Mark Fuller rounded out the grid 3.7 seconds behind in 23rd place. Interestingly, Erhan Jajovski didn't qualify, but he would go on to start the first race, so we would have the Macedonian around in the second satellite car, and he would be there for race 1. And speaking of race 1, we can get right on with that and see exactly what happened when that race 1 occurred. It was a very close run contest, but ultimately it was won by Alex Siebel in, well, a turn of events that's not really surprising anymore, really consolidating that lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship at the moment. Winning in 48 minutes and 27 seconds, pretty dominant stuff at Monza, 3.8 seconds away from Dino Paolini in the second place Meseric, and then followed by his teammate Wupke Hoekstra in third, so a 2-3 for Meseric again, both cars on the podium, and there's a good reason why these guys went in with such a big lead in the team's championship, because they're so consistent this year. They've constantly got good drivers turning up in the forms of Hoekstra and Paolini. They're both getting solid results, both capable of championship charges in their own right, and it's really just coming together for Meseric this season. Definitely want to look out for if they do go to Super League in 2018. Stefan Ruolt would finish 4th, gaining 2 places from 6th place for Deltec. Of course, Ruolt did qualify on pole, but then took a 5-place grid penalty, so Siebel started on actual pole, but still a good result for Ruolt to come back, and definitely showing that he had very good pace going into the second race. Tobias Politek finished 5th, followed by Jeffrey Fournier in 6th, so another good result for the Frenchman. And then Boya Milan 7th from Rob Mason in 8th place, which is his best result of the season so far. And Mason really showing his stuff here at Monza. Again, we've talked in the past about how good he is, but Monza really just seems to have been the start of something here, because 8th place for Mason, that's his best result of the season, definitely very good. And then it was a double top 10 for Drake Racing as well. 9th and 10th for Haranovic and Van der Voort. So good respectable points from both drivers as well. 13 points for the team in one race alone. Edgar Reith finished 11th for TG Racing, and then Menno Klon up 10 places. Started 22nd, finished 12th for Malta Force GP. Then it'll be Johan Lindberg 13th for Deltec. Jason Muscat, though, a race to forget for the Maltese. Down 9 places to 14th place, and really at this point, probably falling out of the championship challenge. Matt Strand will pick up the final point in 15th place and getting himself that one more point for Satellite, and then it would be Gerard Battala, Edouard Battala in the 2 RTS cars, 16th and 17th, and then Mark Fuller 18th and Ryan Nash 19th, rounding out the finishers. The non-finishers were Sandeep Jordan, Chris Shepard, David Tapper, Patrick Gerber and Erhan Jajovski. Of course, Jajovski didn't even qualify, and really just, I don't think he really showed up in race 1. He made 5 laps and then retired, so not really been with it perhaps this race. Erhan would hope for a better race 2. I'll tell you who would have enjoyed a better race 2 though, Stefan Ruolt. He went and won it, ultimately getting his first race win of the season in the process. We've said before so many times, Ruolt capable of winning on his day, and it seemed like Monza was his day, taking a superb win, 4.1 seconds ahead of Dino Paolini, who finished another. It was really close between Paolini and Hoekstra. Again, 2nd and 3rd. 2 Mesricks in 2nd and 3rd. In both races, really going to help their team's challenge. But Boya Malan finished 4th place there. And then Alex Siebel in 5th place. So, Siebel gained 3 places from his 8th place start, but couldn't get the win done. That belonged to Stefan Ruolt this race. But Siebel still doing enough to keep at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Antonio Haranovic will improve and finish 6th this race, followed by Jeffrey Fournier in 7th. And his teammate, again, Rob Mason in 8th. So 2 8ths for Mason. Some good results for Fournier. A very good day at the office for Epic. Jason Muscat would finish 9th for Zederick, which was an improvement on race 1, even though it's not quite what he needs at this point in the season. Definitely an improvement. Edgar Reith would finish in 10th place for STG Racing. Then Patrick Gerber got some good points. 11th for ST Racing. Great result from the pole there, especially the Kine from 23rd up 12 places to 11th. Ryan Nash would get 4 points for Cosmo Psyche, finishing 12th in the process, climbing 7 places, and Nash again really consolidating himself now as a potential points runner if he can just have a good race, and he held off Menno Klon to do that, who finished 13th for Malta Force GP, and Matt Strand rounded out the points finishers and the actual finishers in 14th place, and that was because we had quite a high attrition rate in race 2. The non-finishers, Edouard Battala, Erhan Jadovski, Tobias Polacek, Chris Shepard, David Tapper, Mark Fuller, Gerhard Battala, Sandeep Chola, Tom van der Voort, and Johan Lindberg. So a lot of people not finishing that second race. Most notably, perhaps Polacek, Tapper and Choda, all reasonably high up in the driver's standings and all challenging. A shame to see them not finish, and Erhan Jadovski to not finish again. That will have really gotten him, because Erhan is a great driver, but he's just not settled in. He's only scored 4 points all season since he came in at Monaco, and he's just not really settled into that satellite car. And of course, not settling in doesn't help you in the Drivers' Championship, and well, ultimately Alex Siebel, losing out to Ruolt and only getting 5th in that second race here, has cut his championship lead slightly, but it's still a very strong 23 points at the top of the table ahead of Dino Paolini, who's at 4 second places on the trot now. 2 at Spa, 2 at Monza. Then Wupke Hoekstra at 2/3. Obviously, Monza puts him on 54 points behind on 284. Dennis Jordan is 4th on 259. Didn't show up to this race, Dennis, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll see him back for the next round. Jason Muscat is 5th in the standings at the moment on 244 points. Tied on points with Stefan Ruolt, although Muscat's more wins this season put him ahead on countback. Just 2 points behind is Jeffrey Fournier on 242 in 8th place, and then 235 points are with Tobias Polacek Polacek is in 9th place at the moment on 218 points. And, well, Fournier on 235. Antonio Haranovic is 10th at the moment on 159 points. 59 points behind Polacek. And David Tapper is 11th on 110, followed by Edgar Reith on 106 points. So a 4-point gap between those two. Sandeep Choda is in 13th place at the moment. And he is currently riding on a grand total of points of 56. And then 54 for Matt Strand as well. So, you know, it's quite a close run contest at the top, really, at the moment. It's quite close run. It's quite really tight at the top, obviously. I was saying, when we get to these battles, it can get really, really close. Matt Strand 14th down on 54, Mike Kilk 15th on 53, Edward Batala 16th on 51, tied on points with Rob Mason, but better results for Batala put him ahead. Gerard Batala's on 42 points in 18th, Chris Shepard, 2 DNS unfortunately, leave him on 39 points in 19th, and Tom Vandervoort rounds out the top 20 on 35 points. To go to the team standings then, and, well, it's still an interesting battle there. Mejerick Racing are still leading it by quite a way, 145 points clear at the top, and doing a fantastic job of it. 477 points, though. In second place is Evolution Motorsports, followed by Multiforce GP on 425, then Zedwick Racing on 354, followed by TG Racing on 349, so a very close-knit battle there. 5 points between 4th and 5th. 50 points back is Deltec Racing Team in 6th place. Then it's 7th placed Epic Racing Team on 295. Again, 4 points to separate them. Then you have to go a whole 100 points back before you find Drake Racing in 8th place on 195. And 95 back to find RTS on 100. No points scored this race, so they stay stuck on the century. Hinds Motorsport on 91, just 9 points behind, and Satellite Racing on 82, a further 9 behind in 11th place. Cosmo Psyche are in 12th place on 41 points, and ST Racing rounding out the field 13 points behind on 28. So again, you got these battles developing really between Zedwick and TG, between Epic and Deltec, between Hinds and RTS and Satellite. You know, several teams still battling it out, though some gaps are starting to appear in the team's championships at the moment. Though those gaps can still be closed up in the remaining races we have, including the very next round next week at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore for the Singapore Grand Prix, and that is a street circuit. It's a difficult one on that too, so it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers tackle this as Alex Siebel really starts to begin his charge to secure the championship. He knows he's got to probably win a lot to wrap it up with 2 to go. 1 to go might be the final scenario, but we'll have to see what happens from here and who battles with who in the best of the rest. But until next time, I've been Josh Randerson. Thank you for joining me for this live episode of the Tipping Cup Show, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time when we wrap up what happened at Singapore. But bye for now.